In this video, I am going to show you how to build AI assistants to make you the most productive person in your company. Better yet, I'm going to show you how to do this on Claude, Google Gems, and ChatGPT. So regardless of the AI assistant you're using, you're going to be able to see how this can work for you. I'm going to show you how I'm integrated into my day-to-day work to be much more productive. This is one of the most easiest things you're going to be able to replicate for your day-to-day work. And so let's get into it. The first thing I actually want to start with is something you probably haven't even thought about for AI, but you should. Here's a little sneak peek at something I do that I think you should start doing, and no one else would tell you this tip because it's so mundane. It's actually folder structure. This is if you are using Google Drive or whatever folder you're using, I'm going to show you how to use your folder structure to build these AI assistants. I am someone who is pretty disorganized in terms of like where I keep things, and because of AI, that actually no longer matters. I really don't have to matter. It doesn't really matter where I keep things. So there's two things you have to do when you're building folder structures and the way I would do this. And so if you have different projects, so for me, in HubSpot, I have three large pods that I oversee. I have this one here, which is our go-to-market in the lower end of our business. We have our overall demand, just how HubSpot's go-to-market works, and then we have all of our AI work. And so what I do is I have a folder structure that basically just has two different folders of stuff. I have one where I put every single meeting transcript, record everything, put the meeting transcripts in there, and then all of my strategic docs. And what I'm going to show you is the reason I do that is I build an AI executive assistant for the meeting transcripts, and I build an AI project assistant for all of the strategic docs. So that's kind of tip number one, is I would start to think about how your folder structure allows you to build these kind of AI assistants. And I think this is my recommended structure. One, whatever your project, break it into meeting transcripts, which is all of the meetings you're having on Zoom or whatever else, and you're keeping the transcripts, and then the strategic docs. Now, at some point, I will do a follow-on to this video where this is not just Zoom meeting transcripts, it's going to include emails, and it's going to include Slacks. But for the time being, I think that is where I would start. The other cool thing is at the moment, you know, a lot of people, what you'll do is go to Zoom. I'm going to use Zoom because it's the most common, but whatever you're using, you record the meeting, you get the transcript, and you have to put it in the folder. Or what I'm doing is I have set up zaps. So every time the meeting ends and the transcript is available, it just zaps it into the right folder. Let's go into build this in Gemini because we haven't actually built gems. I've focused a lot on Claude. I'm still going to do Claude in this video, but we haven't actually talked much about Gemini gems. And so I'm going to show you a little bit about how this looks in Gemini. There's these things called gems, and gems are basically Google's equivalent to custom GPTs. So when you go into Gemini, you'll see the gem manager here, and then you'll have a project assistant. So basically you can see all your gems. So they have pre-made for Google, very similar to ChatGPT's store. What you'll see here is I built two. I built a project assistant and I built a scaled selling assistant. So these are for one of my pods. And so I go into the project assistant. And so one of the things I can do now is show me the last summary of our meeting, including key follow-up points. And I'm going to show you how to quickly build this one. Taking a little bit of time to load, analyzing the response. And it will go through and it will show me my last meeting, but it actually goes through and tells me everything I need to know. And so let me go through how we've actually built this. We go to Gem Manager and edit the executive assistant. Do this really quickly. And so we build this. What you do is you build an executive assistant. And this is the prompt here. Basically, tell it to do meeting analysis. So anytime you give it a meeting transcript, it analyzes the meeting transcript. It identifies key decisions and action items. It tracks deadlines and ownership. It flags high priority items. Now, people always tell me it's really hard to follow along the prompt when I'm showing it in this way. So let me quickly go to here and show it to you in a doc. All right, so you can see here, right? So like you're my executive assistant for an initiative called Scale Selling. This is the meeting analysis. So analyze any meeting transcripts, identify the key decisions, track deadlines and ownerships, flag high priority outputs or high priority items, and then I give it the exact output format. Now, if you want these prompts, if you sign up to my newsletter, I'm going to give you this prompt and the project assistant prompt, so you don't need to kind of be squinting at the screen and trying to write it all down. You can find my newsletter sign up in my LinkedIn. And so we'll go back to gems. Let's go back to gems. And so I put the prompt in, and then the next thing you can do is you can basically upload everything from your Google Drive. And so if you have a folder structure, so again, what did I say? All of my folder structure looks pretty the same. Live demos on videos, pods, look at this. How simple is this? Here. And then you can go to meeting transcripts and grab all the meeting transcripts. Now, word to all of the people building these AI assistants, Google, ChatGPT, and Claude all do a bad job of this, in that you have to kind of go in and upload the files, or you connect to your Google Drives and you go add them. At some point, what you would want to do is just automatically add them into the context window. So anytime there's a new meeting, and now I'm auto zapping it to a folder, and then I have to go in here and add the new meeting transcript in here to get all of the follow-up actions. What I want to do in the future is be able to just zap it straight into this context window. So every time I come back into my assistant, it has the latest meeting. Now you have an agent to be able to tell you anything that's happened in any of your meetings. It has access to all of your meetings. Just remember to go in here, add them from your Google Drive. I've already done that. You can go in, add the meeting, any meeting transcript, add the latest one. So that's the only piece of work you have to do, is go remember to do the meeting transcript. Now the next one is super cool, the project assistant. So the project assistant, we're gonna go here. The prompt is a lot bigger, so I'm gonna bring this up in a document so you can see it. So this is a strategic project assistant, and it does some pretty cool things. So let me show you this. So it basically says you are an AI project assistant with expertise in project management, risk analysis, and organizational dynamics. Now, remember, when you get this prompt, if you follow along in my newsletter and you really want to kind of replicate this for yourself, now you can actually play around with this prompt, right? You should just not copy and paste for your needs. You should use it as a foundation and then build upon that foundation and tweak to your needs. Again, this now, the meeting exec one has access to all of your meeting transcripts. So remember the folder structure. Now your project assistant has access to all of your strategic docs. And what it does is basically it presents a menu of available services. So anytime you have a strategic doc, you put it into that folder. And what it will do is it will analyze all the documentation and basically give you a summary of the project, including some really cool things, right? Team structure, responsibilities, any timelines, all of the budget, risk assessment, technical specifications, stakeholder communication logs, previous status reports, and minute meetings. This one here, I'm trying to think through. Someone may argue, why don't you just combine these things in two? It's actually better to keep them separate. They work much better if you have one very focused on project management, one very focused on meeting notes. And so this is doing a little bit of executive assistant where it is grabbing previous minute meetings, but I'm probably going to take this out and keep it very centric to project management work. Now, when it does that, and then it provides actually a menu from you to pick from. So you can basically ask it to do further project status analysis, and I'll show you what that looks like. You can do a risk assessment, which is really good. It pinpoints any potential risks. It does a really good job. Well, some better than other. I'll actually show you the three perform very differently when I give it this prompt. Tactic generation. So we'll actually pull out the core components of your project and recommend different tactics to make that component a success. Strategic recommendations. If you're having to put something together for your executive team, you can choose this. It does a really good job. And then any kind of document generation. So I can basically create a monthly summary, a quarterly summary, a quick summary for the executive team, for our CEO, really easily because it has all of the documentation. The minute meetings compilation, again, I'll take this one out because I've actually since progressed to split these things out. I had it all in one. And then action item tracking, decision log maintenance, it gives you the kind of history of how a decision was made, which I think is really important. And then progress summaries, which is really important. So let me show you how this kind of just looks in Gem really quickly. All right, so we're gonna go into our Gem manager again. We're gonna go into our project assistant. This is my real one. Give me a summary of the project status, removing any internal metrics or words, because I'm going to show to a public audience. So really what I want to do is show you how it brings up the menu of options. So it will do the first part that I showed you, right, before it presents the menu. So it comes through, provides key accomplishments, looks ahead, gives you this kind of overall picture. If I hadn't said cut out all the metrics and internal jargon, it would actually be much more comprehensive because I was doing it. but show me the menu of options. So it doesn't, they actually work very differently. ChatGPT is much better. It will actually present the options at the end, but you can see here, it'll present the options. This one here is interesting because this is not the updated version I give it. If you remember, I give it tactics. So I have to go fix this. It should be tactic recommendation, but let's do 4. Let's do strategic recommendations. So I can basically say, let's do strategic recommendations. It will go through now and will create strategic recommendations. Again, it actually is very good because I've been actually playing around with it. It gives me some like really interesting things I hadn't thought about, but I'll show you what I mean. Like let's create a 1-page summary for my executive team, detailing key accomplishments. All right, gives key accomplishments, gives some key challenges, looking back over all of the presentations and docs that we've done, overall status, pretty good length. It actually does a really good job of being your project assistant, right? So if you had, now for any project, I have a meeting insight assistant or a meeting assistant for that folder. And then I have a project assistant for the strategic docs folder. And again, just going back to that project assistant, this is the prompt. And so really what we want to do is have it summarize all of those strategic docs anytime you want. Now, when you're summarizing the strategic docs, you can ask it for specific parts of the docs, like show me what is different from this month to last month in terms of the progress we've made. Show me that summary. Then you can get into the actual, what are the options you want? This is the one that actually is really good because I was trying this where it actually shows you key components of a project and will show you tactics, but then it will do anything for you. Like it will do all the document generation, it will do strategic recommendations, it will do all of that stuff. Now that's the way I'm setting it up. The reason I've kind of glossed over some of the output is because this is actually my real assistant, right? So it actually has access to a lot of real documentation. Again, the documentation, you have to go in to Gemini. What I really like about Gemini is the context window is really large. So you just have to go in and remember to continue to like add the latest docs. There's no way yet to like automatically add the docs into that context window. Now, this is, if you're watching along LinkedIn, this is where I will leave you because the LinkedIn video can't be too long. If you are subscribed to my newsletter, if you are a Marketing Against the Grain podcast listener, you're going to get the full episode where now I'm going to go on and show you how to do this in Claude, how to do it in OpenAI. And specifically, actually, one of those is actually even better than Gemini. So Gemini is really good, very, very good, actually. But one of the ones I'm going to show you is kind of like surprisingly amazing, especially on the project assistant part. So that's it. If you're listening along LinkedIn, giving you some free content. If you want to stay tuned and get the rest of the episode, we're going to have it up this week on Marketing Against the Grain, and I'll send it to my newsletter subscribers as well.
Hey, oh, by the way, I have to tell you about this awesome free guide. AI is transforming marketing, and the best marketers are going to be the ones that lean into it. For me, AI has transformed how I write, how I organize, how I research, especially with Claude 3.5 and now Notebook LM. We just dropped an amazing free guide that's going to help you use AI as your marketing assistant. It includes automation and task workflows that you can use to get AI deeply embedded into the marketing work you're doing. I know you're going to want to check this out. It is down in the link in the description below in this episode. Go click that and check it out. Now back to today's show.
All right, so how does this look in ChatGPT and Claude? And so if we go into OpenAI, and we create some custom GPTs. Very similar, actually. I would say that, again, getting the documentation is not fabulous. So what I've done is created custom GPTs. I've given it some prompts. So you can see here, I can just click and say, analyze the meeting transcript for key decisions. I can do what are the high priority items? Can you summarize? Can you provide a summary and follow-up? Identify the action items with ownership, which is really great. Exact same prompt. There is no difference in the prompt here. The only thing I will say is, again, the best way to use this is after a meeting, you kind of go, any meeting you want, basically, you can go again, you can add it to your G Drive, and then I can go in and I can grab my meeting transcripts, and then you add that doc. So again, it will be much better at some point if it just has access to a folder where those folders are keeping your documentation, so you don't have to go in and just add it. And anytime you want to meeting a meeting summary, you can just go in and ask for any kind of meeting summary. But for now, it's still pretty great, right? I can just go upload the doc to one of my assistants. So I go into Explore GPTs, I go to my GPTs, I have the exact same 2 assistants, the same prompts. So if I go into the executive assistant, I can upload a meeting transcript here. Again, I've got it connected to my G Drive. I can upload this and I can say, analyze a meeting transcript for key decisions and action items. So anytime I need anything around a meeting, I've got it recorded, it's in the folder, I can go in, I can upload it here. So it does an incredible job of getting you the meeting summary. I think better than most meeting tools, actually. So I really never need to go and figure out what is happening because I record all meetings. Everything is recorded from like one-to-ones to team meetings. So I have this like database of unstructured data that I can go and get insights from anytime I want. The one that's much better here in OpenAI ChatGPT than I think is Google Gemini is actually the project assistant. So if I say, let's say, provide a gap in an analysis of the project. Yeah, let's do this one. So add all of these documents. So add all the latest strategic docs. Again, not to continue to repeat myself. It'd be so much better if it could just auto access a folder so I didn't have to add the docs. But then I'm going to say provide a gap analysis of the project plan. So like based upon our current course, where do you think are gaps and challenges? Takes a little bit of time. And so it will do a pretty great job. It's internal. I'm trying to give you like how I actually use them. So it's using real documentation. And so if you actually do that, it'll give you like an overview, strategy and goals. It's pretty unbelievable, to be honest with you. So like you really do have a project assistant that can be strategic with you and actually go back and forth. And so the other one that works really well is when you give it you ask it for like, show me tactics around components that you think are the most important to make this thing a success. So I would say ChatGPT is not much better, but is better in terms of the project assistant if you build that versus what I've seen on Gemini Gems. Both very useful, and you can prod and poke Gemini to be better. If I ask it for more comprehensive details, it will actually do that. But that's how you use the project assistant. You build custom GPTs. And now again, when I'm finished, I'll have 3 sets of those, right? One for each folder, a set for each folder, a meeting executive and a project assistant. And then the last one I'll just quickly cover off is a Claude, because I want to talk a little bit about some of the actual drawbacks of Claude for some knowledge work like this. So I would say at the moment, like ChatGPT, number one, mostly just because of its output in terms of this project assistant, it just does better strategic thinking around that for some reason. The 2 I have here, I'll go into project assistant. Claude's core drawback here is I have them all connected to my G Drive because I use them all at work, but it doesn't have the ability to pick up PowerPoints like Google Slides. It just has text unless I'm doing something wrong, but it would not find any of the PowerPoints. And then also the context window is just too small. So you can, when you're building them in Claude projects, you go in and you actually add in your project instructions, right? And it's the exact same prompt. And then you add your content, right? And so I don't know why they've done it this way. If you see the other 2, I can just open up Google Drive and go pick the files. Here, you can't even do that, right? It doesn't allow me to like just open Google Drive to go and actually pick the files. But let's say I wanted to give it some strategic docs. Like I can add them in here. They're not the easiest to add in as well. They're actually like 1 by 1. So I think the context window is smaller and being able to add the documents is not as intuitive, and I cannot actually add in PowerPoints. It actually gives you pretty great recommendations. I would say the recommendations it gives you for these 2 prompts, specifically for the project assistant, is actually a little bit better than Gemini. So again, I think it's probably, or maybe on a par with Gemini, with ChatGPT being a little bit better. This is difficult for me to do because a lot of the content I have, strategic doc, is actually in PowerPoints. Kind of rules, I think, it out as being a really good project assistant for what I'm trying to do. So that is the video. The main takeaways here is actually not the output, because the output is really good. It's how I did it, right? I structured the folders, meeting transcripts, strategic docs, and then I built an assistant for EA, built an assistant for project assistant. And then I built that menu of options that you can actually use it to get a summary. You can use it to do further things on the project for you. And I think that's a really great way to start to actually integrate these into your day-to-day work, and actually makes a big, big impact. I use them every singular day. I kind of like gravitate between ChatGPT and Gemini because Gemini is so deeply hooked into the Google suite of products. It's really useful. Claude, I use it every day. I use it actually to take some of the documentation that the assistants build for me around my projects, and I ask Claude to rewrite them because it's a better writer. So I'll take the prompt from I'll take the output from Gemini Gems on the one pager it built for the executive team, and then I'll put it into Claude and I'll say, hey, can you rewrite this for my executive team? This is the audience. This is what I'm trying to do. So I use all three in some sort of combination, but if I was going to end this in terms of a summary, all of them are pretty good to create a first pass at a meeting executive. They all do a really good job because all of the meeting transcripts are text files. Project Assistant, dependent upon what documentation you use and what you want to put in there, I would say Google Gemini Gems is really good. It has access to all of types of documentation, really large context window, easily hooks into G Drive, can just add them in there. ChatGPT, really good. The output slightly better, does a slightly better job of like strategic analysis, strategic recommendations. And then Claude, really struggling because you build projects, you have the context window a little too small, and actually harder to like upload the documentation you want. So that is today's video. I hope this is a good way for you to think about how to start to integrate AI into your own work. And until next time, enjoy this.
This data is wrong every freaking time.
Have you heard of HubSpot? HubSpot is a CRM platform where everything is fully integrated.
Whoa, I can see the client's whole history, calls, support tickets, emails, and here's a task from 3 days ago I totally missed.
HubSpot. Grow better.